Hello everyone, welcome to Roy Digital Children Teaching Center. So let's begin. After the defeat at Palashi, Sirajdullah was assassinated and Mir Jafar made the Nawab. The company was still unwilling to take over the responsibility of administration. Its prime objective was the expansion of trade. If this could be done without conquest through the help of local rulers who were willing to grant privileges, then territories need not to be taken over directly. Soon the company discovered that this was rather difficult, for even the puppet Nawabs were not always as helpful as the company wanted them to be. After all, they had to maintain a basic appearance of dignity and sovereignty if they wanted to respect from their subjects. What could the company do? When Mir Jafar protested, the company disposed him and installed Mir Qasim in his place. When Mir Qasim complained, he in turn was defeated in the battle fought at Buxar in 1764. After Palashi, Mirzapur was made Nawab, but he didn't listen to the company. So they replaced him with Mir Qasim, but he also resisted. This led to Battle of Buxar, where the company defeated the armies of Mir Qasim Shah Alam II and the Nawab of Awadh. After winning, the British became real ruler of Bengal. So, when the Mir Qasim complained, he in turn was defeated in the battle fought at Buxar in 1764 and driven out of Bengal, and Mir Zafar was reinstalled. Next, the Nawab had to pay rupees 5 lakhs every month, but the company wanted more money to finance its wear and meet the demands of trade and its other expenses. It wanted more territories and more revenue. By the time Mir Zafar died in 1765, the mood of company had changed. Having failed to work with puppet Nawabs, Clive declared, "We must indeed become Nawabs ourselves." And finally, in 1765, Mughal Emperor appointed the company as the Diwan of the province of Bengal. The Diwani allowed the company to use the vast revenue resources of Bengal. This solved a major problem that company had earlier faced. From the early 18th century, its trade with India had expanded. But it had to buy most of the goods in India with gold and silver imported from Britain. This was because at this time Britain had no goods to sell in India. The outflow of gold from Britain slowed after the Battle of Polashi and entirely stopped after the assumption of Diwani. Now revenues from India could finance company expenses. These revenues could be used to purchase cotton, silk textile in India, maintain company troops, and meet the cost of building the company fort and offices at Calcutta. The Nawab complained. In 1733, the Nawab of Bengal said this about the English trader. When they first came into the country, they petitioned. Then the government, in a humble manner, for liberty of purchase a spot of ground to build a factory house upon, which was no sooner granted but they built a strong fort, surrounded it with a ditch, with which as communication to the river, and mounted a great number of guns upon the wall. They have enticed several merchants and others to go and take protection under them, and they collect a revenue which amount rupees 1 lakh. They rob and plunder and carry great number of the king's subjects of both sexes into slavery into their own country, and the company officials became Nawab or Nawabs. What did it mean to be Nawabs? It meant, of course, that the company acquired more power and authority, but it also meant something else. Each company's servants began to have visions of living like Nawabs. After the Battle of Palashi, the actual Nawab of Bengal were forced to give land and vast sum of money as personal gift to company officials. Robert Clive himself himself amassed a fortune in India. He had come to Madras, now Chennai, from England in 1743 at the age of 18. When in 1767 he left India, his Indian fortune was worth 4,01,102. Interestingly, when he was appointed governor of Bengal in 1764, he was asked to remove corruption in company administration, but he was himself cross examined in 1772 by British Parliament, which was suspicious of his vast wealth. Although he was acquitted, he is committed suicide in 1774. However, not all company officials succeed in the making money like Clive. Many died an early death in India due to disease and war, and it could not be right to regard all of them as corrupt and dishonest. Many of them came from humble background, and their uppermost desire was to earn enough in India, return to Britain, and lead a comfortable life. Those who managed to return with wealth led a flashy life and flaunted their riches. They were called nabobs, an anglicized version of Indian word nawab. They were often seen as upstarts and social climbers in British society and were ridiculed or made fun of in plays and cartoons. If we analyze the process of annexation of India's states by the East India Company from 1757 to 1857, certain key aspects emerge. The company rarely launched a direct military attack on an unknown territory. Instead, it used a variety of political, economical, and diplomatic methods to extend its influence before annexing an Indian kingdom. How did Clive see himself? At a hearing in front of a committee in Parliament, Clive declared that he had shown admirable restraint after the Battle of Plassey, and this is what he said. Consider the situation in which the victory of Plassey had placed me. A great prince was dependent on my pleasure, and opulent city lay at my mercy. Its richest bankers bid against each other for my smiles. I walked through vaults which were thrown open to me alone, piled on either hand with gold and jewels. Mr. Chairman, at this moment I stand astonished at my moderation. After Battle of Buxar 1764, the company appointed residents in India states. They were political or commercial agents, and their job was to serve or further the interest to the company. Through the residents, the company officials began interfering in the internal affairs of Indian states. They tried to decide who was to be the successor to the throne and who was to be appointed as administrative post. Sometimes the company forced the states into a subsidiary alliances according to the term of these alliances. Indian rulers were not allowed to have their independent armed forces. They were to be protected by the company but had to pay for. Hyderabad was also forced to cede territories on similar ground. Then what power did the resident have? This is what James Mill, the famous economist and political philosopher from Scotland, wrote about the residents appointed by the company. We place a resident who really is a king of the country. Whatever injunctions of non-interference he may act subservience and does what is agreeable to the resident, that is, to the British government. Things go on quietly. They are managed without the resident appearing much in the administration after affair. But when anything of a different nature happens, the moment the prince takes a course which British government think wrong, then come clashing and disturbance. Now we'll read about Tipu Sultan, the tiger of Mysore. Okay, the company restored to direct military confrontation when it saw a threat to its political or economic interest. This can be illustrated with the cause of the southern Indian state of Mysore. Mysore had grown in strength under the leadership of powerful rulers like Hyder Ali and his famous son Tipu Sultan. Mysore controlled the profitable trade of Malabar coast where the company purchased paper and cardamom. In 1785, Tipu Sultan stopped the export of sandalwood paper and cardamom through the ports of his kingdom and disallowed the local merchants from trading with the company. He also established a close relationship with the French in India and modernized his army with their help. The British were furious. They saw Hyder and Tipu as ambitious, arrogant, and dangerous rulers who had to be controlled and crushed. 4 wars were fought with Mysore. Only in the last, the Battle of Srirangapatnam, did the company ultimately win the victory. Tipu Sultan was killed defending his capital Srirangapatnam. Mysore was placed under the former ruling dynasty of the Udayyars and subsidiary alliance was imposed. 4 wars were fought with Mysore. Only in the last battle of Srirangapatnam did the company ultimately win a victory. Tipu Sultan was killed defending his capital Srirangapatnam. Mysore was placed under the former ruling dynasty of the Wadiyar and subsidiary alliance was imposed on the state. The legend of Tipu. Kings are often surrounded by legends and their powers glorified through folklore. Here is a legend about Tipu Sultan who became the ruler of Mysore in 1782. It is said that once he went hunting in the forest with a French friend. There he came face to face with a tiger. His gun did not work and his dagger fell to the ground. He battled with the tiger unarmed until he managed to reach down and pick up the dagger. Finally, he was able to kill the tiger in his battle. After this, he came to be known as the Tiger of Mysore. He had to imagine of the tiger on his flag. Okay, and now here you can see the picture. Actually, it's a toy. Tipu's toy tiger. This is the picture of a big mechanical toy that Tipu possessed. Okay, you can see a tiger mauling European soldier. When its handle was turned, the toy tiger roared and the soldier shrieked. This toy tiger is now kept in the Victoria and Albert Museum in London. The British took it away when Tipu Sultan died, defending his capital Srirangapatnam on 4th May 1799. In the south, there was a powerful king, Tipu Sultan of Mysore. He was brave and modern. British fought 4 wars with Mysore. These are called Anglo-Mysore Wars. In the fourth Anglo-Mysore War, Tipu Sultan killed and Mysore came under British control. British used different ways to expand their controls. Number 1. Subsidiary alliances. Indian ruler had to keep British soldiers in their state and pay for them. If they couldn't pay, the British would take over their kingdom. Many kingdoms lost power this way, including Awadh. Doctrine or lapse. If any Indian king died without natural heir, like real son, his kingdom would be taken by the British. States like Shatra, Jhansi, Nagpur were taken this way. So the East India Company came to trade, but slowly they took over Indian kingdoms. They used war, politics, bribes, clever policies to become ruler. But the middle of 18th century, they controlled almost all of India. So alright student, here I complete my video of chapter 2 from trade to territory. We saw how British came as traders and became rulers using weird tricks and clever policies. If you found this explanation helpful, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Roy Digital Children Teaching Center, and let me know in the comments if you want the next chapter explained like this.